group project. Bit loud there. Welcome to our group project.
Established in 1915, Fletcher Building has grown to be one of the largest listed multinational companies in New Zealand. With around 20,000 employees globally, they are dominant within New Zealand and Australia, operating various subsidiaries such as Placemakers, Fletcher Construction and Higgins among others. Fletcher Building is a household name within New Zealand, known for their contribution to the Christchurch earthquake rebuild and building landmarks such as the Sky Tower and Te Papa Museum.
In 2017, tables started turning for Fletcher Building as losses began to mount on commercial building projects. Former CEO resigned mid-year, blaming management problems and delays within the building and interior arm. He was followed by Chairman Sir Ralph Lauren, who resigned last February amidst a disastrous interim loss of $322 million, compared to a $310 million profit the previous year. In response to a hot market, Fletcher Building took on too many large-scale and complex projects too quickly. The company have been unable to complete many of their major contracts within deadlines. They have also been exceeding their calculated budgets for many big contracts, which has contributed to the huge loss of profit and debt. In summary, Fletcher Building's core capabilities have failed across a range of projects.
With a global strategy, Fletcher grew through internationalisation. Having already saturated their domestic market, they expanded operations throughout Australia, Europe, the USA and Asia. However, due to this strategy, they failed to be locally responsive. The centripetal pressures faced in the domestic market forced Fletcher to re-evaluate their strategy to ensure growth would continue in New Zealand. The housing crisis and the construction boom in New Zealand are evidence of the high pressures for local responsiveness. They have been divesting businesses to focus on its core operations of building, product and distribution. Formica, the European business, has been sold for $1.2 billion and Roof Tile Group was also sold for $70 million. They've effectively changed their strategy of becoming a global player to focus more on Australia and New Zealand by utilising a transnational strategy. As a result, they face HRIR challenges like the rising costs of labour and the complications of subcontracting.
Fletcher Building has faced challenges regarding labour and rising employee costs. In response, unions have conducted strikes regarding working conditions and pay of Fletcher Building employees. In September 2017, Fletcher employees at HRIR Quarry striked over dangerous working conditions and felt they deserved better financial recognition. This issue also resulted in claims from other unions such as the First Union, who argued the actions of Fletcher Building had undermined their collective agreement. Following this, the First Union issued Fletcher Building strike notices in October. This was due to the frustration caused over stalled pay negotiations to employees. Fletcher's Human Resource Director, Kate Daly, stood down that same day. Skilled labour shortages such as engineers and technicians are increasing and new local occupations are constantly being added to the New Zealand Essential Skills and Demand list. To provide certainty with ongoing labour demands, Fletcher Building should address this challenge through local training and upskilling of employees, or they could choose to bind their workforce with a combination of international recruitment.
Another challenge that Fletcher Building faces in their home country is the implications of subcontracting.
New Zealand doesn't have enough skilled labour to keep up with the demand of the construction industry, so Fletcher Building are forced to subcontract to third parties to tackle the large volume of projects they take on.
This comes with many issues for the company. For example, subcontracting out work can lead to higher costs as companies often have to pay contractors at higher rates than their own employees. In addition, third-party contractors' work can come at a lower quality of employee skills, motivation and performance, which continues to bring about greater costs for Fletcher.
Secondly, it's a lot harder to implement HRM practices among subcontractors. They are not ingrained in the HR culture and practices of the company and are not legally obliged to do the same things as employees. This negatively impacts Fletcher Building's relationship with subcontractors, as they cannot achieve the same levels of commitment as they could have with their own employees.
Subcontracting to a third party for work also makes it harder to monitor and control workers, which can lead to poor organisational outcomes and a misalignment of practices.
As they were spending too much of their time and energy on overseas practices, Fletcher Building struggled to deal with these issues at home, and they lost a large amount of profit. These issues were and continue to be a pull factor for Fletcher to focus more on their New Zealand practices.